Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, you can be heard.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay, so yes, okay, so I can confirm that the recording has started. So I will now hand over to Chair Councillor Aja Ovat. Yes, hello, I have let you in, Miss Yurdakal, I have let you in. So we're just going to start the preliminary proceedings, and I'm going to hand over to Councillor Aja Ovat, who is the chair of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Licensing Subcommittee today, the 5th of July. My name is Councillor Ajda Ovat and I am the Chair of Licensing. Before we begin, if I can have those present to introduce themselves, starting with the councillors on the committee, then the officers, the objector and the applicant. Firstly, I'll start with the introduction. I'm Councillor Ajda Ovat, member for Northumberland Park and Chair of Licensing. Members, if you can now introduce yourself.
I'm Councillor Sheila Peacock, member for South Tottenham.
I'm Councillor Nick DaCosta, member for Highgate, and I apologise I'm not on camera. I'm having some technical issues.
Thank you, councillors. Now, officers, if you can introduce yourself.
Good evening, I'm Dale Barrett. I'm the licensing team leader.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Nazia Chowdhury. I'm the Principal Committee Coordinator and Clerk to this committee.
So,
hello.
hi. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Sadikul Rahman. I'm the lawyer for Harringay Council in the meeting.
Thank you, officers. Now, objector, if you can introduce yourself.
So, hi, my name is Willa DaCosta. I'm the one live above the flat. So, at the moment. Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. DaCosta.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Finally, the applicant. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, this is Fezal and I am the agent and applicant Mirjan Karadika. He's here with me.
Thank you. Now with the first item of the agenda, filming at meetings. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available for public viewing. Second item, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence?
Just from the Nishar Bashar Chair, Licensing Authority Officer.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Third item, urgent business. Are there any items of urgent business?
Unlisted, Chair, as far as I know.
Thank you. Fourth item, declarations of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest?
Yep.
Councillor DaCosta?
No,
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, now on to the fifth item, summary of procedure. The procedure for the meeting has been emailed to all participants by the clerk. For the purposes of any members of the public watching, we will first hear from the licensing officer. After that, the objectors will present their case and the committee and applicant will have the opportunity to ask questions. Then the applicant will present their application and the committee and objectors will have the opportunity to ask questions. All parties will then have the opportunity to sum up, and then the meeting will conclude to allow the committee to deliberate and reach a decision. This decision will then be provided in writing within 5 working days of this meeting. Additionally, I'm going to note the ground rules for this remote hearing as follows. Please ensure your cameras are open and that you are muted when you're not speaking. If you have technical difficulties, please use the chat function. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the subcommittee. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communication via the chair. We will take all papers as read unless there is anything you wish to draw our attention to. All speakers will be allocated 5 minutes to speak. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated time, unless you request for an extension of time, which is at the discretion of the chair. Please do not share addresses of speakers. In the event that there be several speakers for each party, please avoid repetition and perhaps consider having a spokesperson to address all concerns. Now on to the 6th item, which is the application for a variation of an existing premises license at Jani, 31 Westbury Avenue, Wood Green, London, N22 6BS. So can Miss Barrett, licensing officer, please can you introduce your report?
Thank you, Chair. The panel has before them this evening, as you've said, Chair, the application for the variation of an existing premises licence at Jani's 31 Westbury Avenue. Apologies, please, on the first part of this application. I have left a previous name in there. The applicant is Marjan Gradika, and they are seeking for late night refreshment Monday to Saturday 11 p.m. until 2 in the morning and Sundays 11 till midnight. For the supply of alcohol Monday to Saturday 11 a.m. until 1:30 a.m. and Sunday 11 until midnight. The hours open to the public would therefore be Monday to Saturday 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. and on a Sunday 8 a.m. to midnight. The application can be found at Appendix A in the pack. During the 28-day consultation period for this matter, representations were received, Chair. You've got in the pack the representations from the responsible authorities and also the residents as well. Within the application itself, Chair, the applicant has put forward in the licensing objectives, this is on page 16 and 17 of the pack, 16 of the pack, it seems, that the DPS will ensure that all members of staff are trained with regard to their responsibilities in the sale of alcohol and refreshment training. Will also be undertaken training records will be kept at the premises. Challenge 25 will be operated at the premises and challenge posters will be in place at the premises. A refusal book and incident log will also be in place and be operated and will be available to police on demand. That the CCTV system is installed, providing good imagery of all internal areas. Images shall be retained and for a minimum of period of 28 days. And again, that action will be taken to put the equipment back into action. A notice will be displayed on the premises saying CCTV is in operation, and it would be made available to police and local authority on request. The DPS will ensure, under public safety, the DPS will ensure that the premises are adequately illuminated, staff are trained about environmental health requirements, and all escape routes and exits shall not be obstructed, it says. And under the prevention of public nuisance, what's been put forward is that all staff are trained to ensure control of noise, supervise customers leaving premises after 11 p.m. and under the protection of children from harm, displaying relevant signs at the point of sale, regular staff training, and when and how to refuse a sale. No proof, no sale, age verification policy to be in place. That should really be a written policy in any event. So if I take you back to the report, please. So in terms of recommendation, in considering the representations received and what is appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, the steps the subcommittee can take are to grant the application as requested, grant the application whilst imposing additional conditions and or altering in any way the proposed operating schedule, exclude any licensable activities to which the application relates, or reject the whole or part of the application. Regardless of whatever determination the panel comes up with, we will always ask for clear reasons, to be clear written reasons, basically explaining how that decision was arrived at. In terms of the background for the premises is situated along Westbury Avenue, and it does have residential properties all around it. It does have, Chair, just as way of information, the current planning permission on the premises, Chair, are in line with the current hours that the existing license has. I'm not aware that Mr. Gradika has actually, approached planning to actually seek to increase the hours that is currently held under the planning conditions at this time. The premises has come to the attention of the council and police due to various complaints relating to public nuisance. There is a summary of the complaints in the additional pack that's been submitted. The licence holder has addressed the requirement to vary the DPS, which you'll note was raised in the trading standards representation, which has now been withdrawn. Once it was established, the previous name DPS was no longer involved at the business. So the DPS is there to basically have the day-to-day control of and management of the premises. Okay. In terms of the licensing policy, the committee will also wish to be aware that the guidance issued under section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003 is really about regulating the provisions of the license authority, license activities on licensed premises. And in doing so, the committee, I'll just give an overview of this, Chair, because I know you've read the papers. In doing so, the committee should have regard to the licensing objectives, to the statement of licensing policy, and within that policy there is a section that covers the licensing hours that you need to consider when looking at premises that are within or near to residential properties. The powers of the licensing authority, there is at section 5, Chair. And in terms of other considerations, Chair, the Crime and Disorder Act 1998 comes into play here, as does the Human Rights Act, Chair. Chair, if I can just run through the papers, bear with me because I'm actually doing this as I'm screen. You do have a copy of the existing premises license, Chair, from page 23 in the pack. It is still called Montana Brasserie. The name has not been changed by Mr. Gradica at this moment in time. And within the pack, Chair, you will see you've got the representation on page 47 from the resident who's here to speak on his family's behalf. And further down in the pack, Chair, you should have a copy of the short holding rep that the licensing authority had submitted, requesting that the hours remain as they are at this moment in time, due to the effectively the fact that you've got residential either, you know, right next door to the premises and also directly above that could potentially be affected should the hours be granted for a later operation, Chair. And Chair, there I'll leave it if you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. I'll take it to the members. Do you have any questions for the licensing officer? Anyone? Councillor Peacock, Councillor Da Costa?
Councillor Peacock, you're on mute.
No questions from me, Bliss.
Thank you. Councillor Peacock?
I noticed that there's a restaurant directly opposite called Sunny Beach, and sometimes when you do your thing, you give us an idea of what their licensing hours are. So it might be interesting to know what their licensing hours are, if you can do.
Can you leave that with me and I'll come back and inform the committee, please? Let me just.
It's directly opposite.
It is. I know the one you mean. Yes, Chair. No problem.
Thank you. Any questions from the objector, Mr. Da Costa, for the licensing officer?
I did some points here, but I just want to read, not read through. I just want to point things. I don't have any questions at all. So if it's going to help or not.
If you can't, just because I don't want any repetition of information, because we've basically taken it as read. But if there's any point of clarification that you want from Ms. Barrett, you can ask that.
I think everything's we are all right. Yeah, everything's going well so far. Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
No worries. And any questions from the applicant for the licensing officer?
Just one comment about planning. we would like to apply for planning, but we want to wait for the licensing result of this licensing application, and we will definitely apply for the planning application as well.
Yeah,
To vary the hours.
okay, but just to bear in mind that obviously, you know, if for instance, this application were to be granted by the committee to what you are requesting, you wouldn't be able to make use of those hours until you've actually obtained the planning side. Okay.
It would be too much cost for my applicant. We want to see first if you get the license from the licensing department, and if we do, we will definitely apply for the planning application.
Right, it should really be the other way around. The planning should always come first before you go for the license, because if you get the license and you don't have your planning in place, it's still no good to you anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that clarifies all the questions. Now we'll go to the objector. Now, if we can hear from you, Mr. Da Costa.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
So I did some points here. So I hope, first of all, this one is a residential building. If they got this license, as we all know here, how we're gonna able to sleep, which they running now until 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then they open like half 5-6 in the morning. So other one, the bar is literally below our bedroom, where comes all the noise from the waiters, from the customers, even from the coffee machine. You know, that's another point here. So also have more noise from the telly early in the morning, late in the night. So when they close and open the bar, so we can hear all the chairs being dragged in and out from the coffee shop. Again, I'm gonna point, so noise from the customers is very loud, even from the waiters, they talk very loud, even in the morning, also in 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, 6. And if you're doing all these with this current license, it'd be a bit roughly, I mean, tough for us with the new license if they go even further than that. So plus, I want to point as well about our mental health. We're going through some issues here due to the lack of sleep. So as you can see, all the evidence that's sent through to you. So I just want to point that as well. And one more thing, we would like to have some barriers, as they used to have at the beginning, you know, to protect their customers, to don't obstruct our door. So that's they used to have at the beginning. Then they stopped using. So I don't know what reason. That's a good thing. It'd be nice for them as well. And yeah, that's pretty much I have to say. I want to just to close here. We want to just be able to sleep, you know, have a normal life, and then we wish him a successful business as well. So we don't want bad things for him. That's all I have to say here.
Thank you, Mr. Da Costa. I'll take questions now from members. If you have any questions for Mr. Da Costa.
Go on, Mike.
Councillor Peacock or Councillor Da Costa? Yes, Councillor Da Costa, your hand is up. You can speak.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Da Costa. Just to point out, both of us are Da Costas, but it's like the Smith of Portugal. It's one of the most common names there is. So when it is the case that the bar is making noise out of hours, outside of their licensing.
Oh, they've been doing this for ages.
When you try to speak to them.
No, they've been doing this for ages. But as I said in that letter, yeah, we used to have a good relationship. I used to talk to him, then ask him gently and nice, until one day I went. He had a late night. I think it was on Sunday. It was until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the day after, I went to see him. I said, Johnny, please, last night it went be over, isn't it? And then he pointed me the application for the license. And then he said to me, from now on, don't bother to text me anymore. And then that's the day but this has been long. It's been going for months and months. So it's like a lottery, you know, to get like a full night's sleep. So that's pretty much like that. So that's when I decide I need to act here.
Okay. Any more questions,
Chair,
Councillor? Yeah.
Sorry, Sheila. Chair, is it possible if I can ask a question to to Ms. Barrett relating to what Mr. Da Costa just mentioned, or do we have to stick to the format?
I mean, ideally you can stick to format, but if it's just a quick question, you can ask Ms. Barrett a quick question. Yeah.
If that so with regards to within Mr. Da Costa's complaints, there are mentions of late notes. Were temporary event notices requested for those?
Yeah, I've just picked up on what Mr. Da Costa just said as well, and just checked that there are no temporary event notices applied for or issued for 31 Westbury Avenue, and it is never the case that a license holder is able to operate beyond their license, their permitted license hours, just because they're putting an application. That is not a granted application, and so you do not assume the right to go ahead and start operating to later hours. That's not how it's done.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Councillor Da Costa, any more questions for the objector?
None from me.
Okay, Councillor Peacock, any questions?
Well,
for the objector?
Asked one of the questions that I was going to ask about the hours, because I'm really concerned that it should not go on past the licensing hours. Apparently, it's repeatedly going on. Now, you also mentioned the area in front of the restaurant where the chairs and the tables are, and you said that it used to be roped off. Is that, am I correct in that saying?
Yeah, one note sometimes, yeah, because when you got me frustrated, then you start notes everything. I note sometimes elders people, and then even moms. Let's say if you come a van to do a delivery, what they do, they will park quickly, they will put the van next to the chairs, and then I see moms with the children's pushing, children's elders people is struggling a little bit. Of course, they're not going to moan, I mean, sorry for my words, they're not going to say something. But
I was asking you, was the area roped off, or was it just tables and chairs?
Just tables and chairs.
That's never been roped off, because that's what I thought you said. Okay, thank you.
Just before we go to you, Miss Barrett, I just have a question. I mean, I know you mentioned that the noise comes from customers, and I remember you mentioned it in your account that it's also music. So is it predominantly customers, or is it music as well predominantly?
Yes,
what's the main kind of
it's
sound?
also, yeah, because they got big telly, and then also they got two tellies in there. One is the telly is pretty much underneath my bedroom, and then I have to say, so like this morning they opened it wasn't even 6 o'clock in the morning, and then they turned the TV loud, it's techno music, and then it starts from there. It's before my alarm goes off, and then it's just scary, isn't it? Especially when with the coffee machine, they have to do that movement to clean the coffee machine. They are doing not even more bum bum bum. You just wake up. Oh, what's going on here? And the telly with techno music, it's funny because sometimes during the day you can't hear nothing. Then when it goes to the evening, near to the close time, is where you can hear even more. The techno music go all on my bedroom, so stuff like that.
Thank you. And Dalia?
Thank you, Chair. Just to point out, Chair, to bear in mind, and maybe when Mr. Gradiker comes to speak, he can elaborate a bit more for the panel. But the premises does operate as a shisha lounge also. I've noticed also that they have applied, there's a current application on the planning for new canopy covers, but I couldn't open the documentation to note whether that was at the front of the premises or at the back of the premises. And as you know, if it's canopies for the back of the premises, then that will potentially make their shisha area non-compliant if that's going to be covered over for any amount of time, day or night. So, and also as the resident was just pointing out, the noise and so forth. So he will get noise coming because by rights, the shisha area should always be open. It's required to be open by 50% open by law. So maybe when Mr. Gradiker is speaking, he can clarify just what that canopy, where that canopy is going to be for. and what he actually does at the rear of the premises also, the Shisha element. And to answer Councillor Peacock's query regarding Sunny Beach, they shut at midnight on a Saturday night and Sunday. The rest of the week it is 11 o'clock.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Okay, yep, those questions that you've kind of raised, hopefully the applicant will mention on when it's their time to speak. Now for the applicant, if you've got any questions for the objector, for Mr. Da Costa.
Actually, Chair, I think Councillor Da Costa might have another question. I don't know if it's a legacy hand. He's just put his hand down.
Oh, okay.
I put my hand down because I thought we were moving on, but yeah, no, don't worry, Chair, no problem.
Okay.
Last question from Mr. Da Costa. What is the earliest? So, over the past past period that the issues have been going on, what's the earliest you've had disruptive noise that's interrupted you, and what's the latest? So,
well, as I said to you, is that the earliest is been going off 2 months.
5.
Yeah, like today was in even 6. I think was half 5 22. No, sorry, half 5 22 6. And it even as well. The latest is a lottery day, is a lottery ticket, isn't it? Sometimes could be 1, sometimes could be 2, sometimes they close up the front and they be at the back talking as well. It's a lottery ticket. I mean, it's been going on for months like that now. I mean, it's really frustrating. Sorry to say that, but it's really frustrating. So.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any further questions from the members. So off now to the applicant, if you have any questions for Mr. Da Costa.
Yes, I have.
Yep, if you can ask.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, my English is not very good, but I'll try the best to spell it and to understand. First hand, I know for 2 years, I never had problem with him. All the time I was good relationship with him. All the time I keep the box, him and her wife.
If you could ask a question, you can make your statements when it's your turn to make the statement. But if you can just ask a question, yes.
My question was, is learning because 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock never have chance to stay in later on. I have 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock maximum in cleaning, so I never stay into 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, like I said. And the coffee, who make the coffee is not making noise. It's more
sorry. If you can just ask the question you have for the objector rather than making a statement at this point. What is your question for Mr. Da Costa, please?
For what?
Do you have a question based on what his statement is? Or your representative, do you have any questions for Mr. Da Costa?
How that for time? Because it was no right time. 2 o'clock never stay in me.
Your question or is it a statement?
I can't hear, sorry.
I said, is that a statement or is it a question? Because at this point, we're just asking questions.
No question. I need to speak.
No questions.
No question. I need to
Okay, no questions. Okay. Any points of clarification from anyone for Mr. Da Costa?
No. He point about the restaurant across the road, so I never had a problem with that. That's it.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Da Costa. Now on to the applicant. If we can please have your representation.
Okay. We have submitted an application for a variation of an existing premise license. And the proposed hours were from Monday to Saturday from 11 until 2 o'clock and Sunday from 11 until midnight for late night refreshment. And for supply of alcohol, we applied from Monday from 11 until 1:30 and from Sunday 11 to midnight. And hours open to public are from 8 to 2 o'clock from Monday to Saturday and from Sunday from 8 to midnight as well. We had one objection letter from the neighbors and one comment from the licensing department. Most of the objections were related to public nuisance. Sorry. We shared the risk assessment in order to show how we will comply with the 4 licensing objectives. This was shared by an email. Regarding the first representation from the neighbor, Mr. Willer da Costa, this representation contained some WhatsApp screenshots of my client's messages. First of all, due to privacy rules and guidelines, these personal messages between 2 parties cannot be shared without the consent of both sides. However, in this case, these images were actually shown that my client was very cooperative by informing the tenant clearly on certain events and responding to his messages on time. And he was also even receiving his packages. Moreover, some of the events mentioned in the text messages have never happened anyway. And in particular case, my client mentioned that the noise created was actually coming from the across shop, not from his shop. Addition to this, the objector shared some photos of the tables and chairs in order to show that my client obstructs his entrance. However, you can see from the photos that we shared you from the CCTV footage, actually the chairs are displayed properly, but some customers move the chairs and tables, which cause some obstruction in front of his entrance. In order to avoid this, we will have staff training, and we can also place some barriers in order to avoid any obstruction. The resident also complained about the Shisha Garden at the rear of the property. This Shisha Garden is not regulated under the Licensing Act. And I would also like to add that my client's garden at the rear also complies with the Shisha Gardens and the 50% rule. And this has a planning as well. About the planning, the licensing department mentioned for the canopy, it's for the front area, for the seating area in front of the premise. And if this application is approved, is granted, it will avoid the obstruction of the front door, and it will also reduce the noise levels to the upper floors. To be honest, my client would like to work with the local community. Therefore, we have spoken with other neighbors at the area, and we got like 16 supporting letters, and we shared these letters with the licensing department. In addition to this, there's only one flat that makes that has a complaint about us when we think that the application has been distributed to other neighbors as well. And there were some couple of complaints regarding the noise. I have spoken with my client. He's only aware of one of the complaints that has been made on 17 December in 2022, and he's not aware of the other complaints that has been made. Also on the paper, it also says there was no action and no visit to the company, to the premise as well. So he wasn't aware of these complaints, and if he had been aware, he would have taken precautions or necessary actions. Therefore, we understand the concerns regarding the public nuisance. In order to reduce these levels, we will have signs in the shop asking customers to respect neighbors and leave quietly. We will also supervise people leaving after 11 o'clock. We will train our staff, and we will train our staff regarding noise and also about the neighboring entrance door. So this will not be obstructed. We will supervise our customers. We will also like to display the manager's number on the shop front. If there's any noise any problem, we would like them to call directly to my client, and he will take all the precautions in order to reduce the noise levels. In addition to this, we will have a complaint procedure in place. If there's any complaints about us, we will take necessary actions, corrective actions, in order to reduce any noise levels, in order to work with the local community. I think with these measures in place, we believe that my client will be able to manage the place in compliance with the 4 licensing objectives. And we kindly like to request our premise license to be granted as it is. If not, if it's too stretch for the licensing committee, we might consider reducing our hours on the weekdays, maybe until 1 o'clock. For example, from Monday to Thursday until 1 o'clock, and maybe Friday and Saturday until 2. If you have any questions, any comments, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Yurdakul. So yes, members, do you have any questions for the applicant? Yes, Councillor Da Costa.
Thank you very much, Chair. Okay, thank you very much for that. So you mentioned from the WhatsApp exchange that events were pre-warned. Can I ask, did you request temporary event notices for events on the 21st of October 2021, 17th, 18th and 31st of December 2021? And we know the answer already regarding the December events, and the 29th of May, where you were clearly having events past your operating hours. Did you apply for temporary event notices, yes or no?
As I mentioned, some of the events didn't even happen. The Christmas event didn't happen.
I'm
No.
sorry. I'm going to interrupt. I'm really going to interrupt here. We have text of the applicant stating, "Okay, bro, sorry, I close it because it was birthday, 21st of October." We have a message on the 5th of December from the applicant stating, "I'm letting you know about these events." We have a message from the applicant again saying, regarding the 30th of May, saying, "Yes, we'll keep down because someone has a birthday." That's clearly the applicant admitting that there are events happening. Were the temporary event notices applied for, yes or no?
You can speak.
Yes, I do it that first one. I was doing later on, but my plan it changed and my family was no okay, and I closed it early that day, and I say close it. And other day, yes, one guy you have birthday and he stay a little bit later on, but not too much, to 12:30.
Councillor
So
Da
the
Costa, does
answer-
that answer?
Well, no, it answers that there were no temporary event notices applied for. The next question from me, if that's okay, Chair. You mentioned that customers were moving the chair in front of the complainant's door. Why wasn't the manager or staff asking customers to move their chairs back again? That
Because
doesn't require training.
he was inside and I didn't see because my place is outside and inside. My manager was inside do it, and when he going outside, he tell him and he keep make it straight after, because customers, the customers is moving up and down, the chairs, but it's not that big deal because they have the space, plenty of space to go inside. But already I told my customers to keep the chairs nice, and already never have any more problems. So I'll keep the chairs straight in her door.
And you can put the barriers if it will be much more helpful for the tables and chairs not to obstruct.
Thank you. And any questions from Councillor Peacock for
No.
the...
Councillor Da Costa's asked all my questions and done it very well. Thank you.
Okay, I just have a question. I noticed in your premises license, your current one, that you don't have any dates day for late night refreshments. I'm just asking, why have you asked for this new variant?
Sorry, we couldn't hear you properly. Is it possible for you to repeat?
I think she's frozen.
So in your cut.
I think the chair's frozen.
Are you still with us, CouncillorOvat?
I heard screaming. I hope that wasn't from the chair.
No.
Okay, we need to just stop the meeting for a while until the chair can rejoin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is the problem with this password that we have to keep putting in. When it goes, you're cut off.
Being able to have these meetings online is brilliant, but sometimes technology lets us all down, as my case today with the camera not working.
Yeah, I agree. Is there any way we can phone her? Does she?
I think Naz is.
I'm sure Naz is. Yeah, I'm sure Naz is on the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bear with me.
It's probably the case that the token, the security token, has expired.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened to me just before the meeting started, and that is the pain in the backside. I tell you, really annoying.
So just to keep everyone updated, the chair is having some difficulties with the internet. She's trying it from a different room.
I think I've managed to fix my camera. Well, I say I've managed to fix my camera. My brother has managed to fix my camera. So I think you're able to see me. There we go.
Okay, we should have the councillor joining us, hopefully, shortly.
Let's cancel.
Apologies all, I had a few technical issues, but hopefully now it's okay.
Welcome back.
Great to see you.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me now. Sorry about that.
That's great. Yes.
There was an internet connection problem, but I was just gonna, is it okay if I just ask my question? Because I don't know if everyone heard my question before we move on to other people asking questions.
Yep.
So my question was for the applicant. I noticed that for late night refreshments in your current premises license, I didn't see any dates or time for Sunday, and I'm just asking why have you asked it now for this variation for Sunday?
Ms. Yurko, that was a question to the
Yes.
Chair, can I answer part of that at least, just to move things along?
Yeah, Ms.
So
Barrett.
because the operating times on the Sunday at this moment is until supply of alcohol is until 21:30, and the closing of the premises is at 10 p.m. So therefore it falls outside of the late night refreshment period. Basically, it's only if you're going up to 11 o'clock that, and you're then wanting to do that particular license for activities of late night refreshment from 11 o'clock onwards, that you then need to ensure that you've got it on your license. Okay.
Thank you for the clarification, Ms. Barrett. Yes,
Right.
and now, Ms. Barrett, did you have a question?
Yeah, it was only to give a bit of clarity, really. Ms. Yurdical had said about the shisha smoking and it not being part of this license application. It's the activity around it that is caught by the licensing. So if customers are being served alcohol, or they are being served even a cup of hot water after 11 o'clock, then they need the license in order to cover and enable them to do that. Okay.
Thank you for that. Any further questions from the councillors for the applicant?
No.
Okay, any questions from the objector, Mr. Da Costa, for the applicant?
I'm all right. So everything's clarified here. So.
Okay, so we'll move on then. Can each party now sum up, starting with the licensing officer, then objector, Mr. Da Costa, and finally the applicant? Please keep succinct. Thank you. So starting with Ms. Barrett.
Chair, there's no direct summing up from myself, only to highlight the request from the licensing authority in their letter that you have already contained in the pack, Chair.
Thank you. And now Mr. Da Costa.
I'm just going to be repetitive here, but I have to say so. So if they're doing all they're doing now with these licenses, if they got this grant is a new license, so we're not going to be able to sleep here at all. And plus, that's I would reinforce that if there is a family living on top of this building, we want to have a peace of mind as well as normal as the other neighborhood here on top of the road. Thank you.
If you can sum up.
Sorry, we couldn't hear.
Oh, yes. If you can please just sum up your argument, please.
Yeah,
Or
my
your
representation.
representation.
Comment.
Hello, how are you? Listen, I need to start the first one because the coffee machine is saying every shop have the coffee machine like I make it coffee. It's not that big noise make it. If you don't make it coffee, what can I do with my business? So can I keep my coffee at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock with customers going work? It's not that big noise the coffee machine. Second one, I not keep it later on to 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. So all the time I finish 11 o'clock, but I clean in my shop and I'm going late at 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock maximum.
So
Yeah. And all the time I have this shop for 3 years. Only that this guy complaining, and only this guy complaining. Everyone not complaining. Even Shisha, my place, I'm not do it busy. It's not busy the Shisha. Maybe I make it 2 Shisha, but all weekly, and it's open 100%. 2 times it's coming cancel, and I see and I say it's fine. The never make noise because the couple shops, Sunny Bits, other shops is Turkish shops, is people drinking other side and then coming behind my shops and maybe think so it's my shops.
Okay.
And I have a sign in for extensive hours and for everything shops, the neighbors close to my shop and behind my shops. So everyone signed it like a 16 people, 16 shops, and I say everyone is fine. So only one complaint I have from these guys. I don't have nothing wrong with him. I trying to help him. I keep all the box him and her wife for 1 year. I ask, come drink coffee, he's come in. I don't know what's going on this 2 months. I never say, I say, if you have any problem, call me. You have my number private. You have my number Google. Anything
Okay.
happen,
Yeah, if you can just keep your summing up succinct to your main points, please. If there's anything additional that you want to point out
which one?
from your representation, if there's anything you want to point out, particularly in your summing up.
My English is not that very good, actually.
That's okay. Does your representative want to help out?
Yes. We understand concerns regarding public nuisance. We want to work with the local community, and maybe we can reduce the weekdays until 1 o'clock, and maybe have Friday and Saturday until 2, and maybe Sunday until 12 o'clock, if it's okay with the neighbors.
Okay.
Is a question? Is there a question for me?
I think it's just part of their summing up.
Okay.
Just
because it's not okay with us. Definitely not.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
but everyone is fine.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Yeah, so thank you all. We have now come to the end of this item. I ask that all parties please leave the meeting room so that the community members have an opportunity to deliberate and make a decision on the application. The parties will be notified of the decision in writing within 5 working days of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Good evening.
Evening.